everyday carry, or EDC, a term typically used by someone to show what they would carry on their person on a daily basis, but has also been adapted to pretty much every niche here on YouTube. Tech, what's on my phone; finance, what's in my wallet; travel, what's in my suitcase. So let's add one more to the list: what's in my Tesla Model Y Performance here in 2026. All my customizations, accessories, and mods that are in my Tesla on a daily basis. Now, everything shown today will be linked down below, along with Test Stuff's Valentine's Day sale code VDAY26 for 15% off your entire order, plus free shipping over $150. So while this video is about what's in my Tesla, we're actually gonna start here on the outside. And yeah, I got the hood up and the gloves on. We got hit like a week and a half ago with an ice storm. We just got hit with another snowstorm last night. So as you all can probably tell, yeah, the paint looks a little bit different. PPF, paint protection film, I've talked about it numerous times here on the channel, and I do have an entire dedicated video coming about the process of PPFing this car by myself. I will say one thing right here, and that is the new Model Y may be one of the easiest cars to PPF, as when you stop and you look at it, there's no wrapping into the wheel wells. Everything is like hard cut body lines. It's super easy, especially the performance here, as you also don't have to wrap anything out through here. But yeah, like I said, that video is coming. Paint protection film, I've talked about tons of times. It protects your paint. It's a physical barrier, unlike ceramic coating. It's also much thicker compared to more traditional colored vinyl film, which is only about 2 mils thick, where this is 8 mils thick. I did end up opting for a matte or stealth PPF. So the color you see is actually ultra red underneath, and it just kind of mattes it. You can get PPF that's just clear, and you're still getting all the protection while not changing or affecting the color of the car. I will have this link down below, along with, I think code JMH will get you like 10% off. Like I said, really easy car to wrap here, the new Model Y. Now the next one, while it is technically inside the car, well, you can see on the outside, and that's gonna be tint. Here we have XPEL XR Plus, the entire windshield. If you don't know, in the state of Kentucky, full windshield tint is legal as of, I think, like summer of 2024 is when that got passed. All 4 doors are tinted. The back little triangle pieces are tinted, and the rear hatch back here is also tinted. Now, from the factory, these are gonna come with about 20 to like 25%. It's not actually tint, it's like tinted glass here on the back, along with the rear back here. So we have 20% up here, and then to match perfectly to 20%, you actually would need to tint this at about 70%. So the fronts are tinted at 20, these are tinted at 70, and then the rear hatch is also tinted at 70. The front windshield is tinted as well. This is, I believe, 55%. From the outside here, it looks really dark, but once you're inside, you can tell it's tinted, but you can still see out just fine. Also, with white interior, it's gonna make your tint appear about 10% brighter than what it actually is. But on a car with black interior, it'd actually look a little bit darker. So just a heads up in case you do opt for black or white interior. Tint is really good for, of course, privacy, but especially here on electric vehicles, as during the summer, when all that heat is getting in, tint means your HVAC doesn't need to work as hard. So having your car tinted will literally lead to you getting more miles, more range. And with the tint we have nowadays, that being ceramic tint, you don't even need to go super dark to get all that like heat rejection. So the windshield, if you didn't want it this dark, you could go with something like 70%. It's pretty much clear, and you're still gonna get a ton of heat rejection, especially here on the windshield, just because the amount of light that gets dumped in here. Hopping into the car, where you'll find the first accessory I put in here, and arguably the most important, and that's gonna be all-weather floor mats. Now, there are 2 different types of floor mats. There's TPE and XPE. These are XPE, so these have the foam in them with the anti-slip backing. And what this does is that, of course, the anti-slip backing means it doesn't move, but it's not as like abrasive on your carpet as something like Velcro. So you can still take them up and put them down as many times as you want. You're not gonna like fray your carpet. But the XPE actually helps with noise. And as this is an electric vehicle, noise getting up through the floor is a big thing, as you don't have white engine noise coming from the car that kind of helps drown it out. So these also help with noise reduction. They have a outer layer weave that also makes them extremely easy to clean. Here is the passenger. They are laser scanned, so they're perfect fits. Rear passenger. And then we also have mats for everything else. This is kind of what we call the extended, the trunk mat, as you can see here. We also have a cutout here for the handle, because Y doesn't actually have a like strap like 3 does, and I think S also has a strap too. Y doesn't have that. It kind of just has a cutout here. So we've also have a cutout, lift up, and we've made it to where there's creases to where it can still fold up. Here is the sub trunk. We also have mats on the back of the seats too. Yeah, so my bag caught it. That's nice that it stops. So yeah, we also got mats on the back of the seat, and there's cutouts, so you still have full functionality of them. And then finally, the front trunk. Every surface area of this car is covered and fully protected. Next up are screen protectors for the front and rear. I've seen multiple posts now about how someone's kids have cracked their rear screen because they're like kicking the back of the seat or they throw something. Definitely get screen protectors, mainly for the rear one if you have like rear passengers and kids. As for the front one, you know, you're not going to drop your screen, so a lot of people don't see the importance of a screen protector, but think about all the stuff you're throwing in and out of your car, or if something from the back was to go flying forward when you slammed on the brakes. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You spend, what, 30, 40 bucks on a nice tempered glass screen protector. Don't get the really cheap film ones. That's why Tesla actually updated the manual to tell you not to use a screen protector, because people kept on buying like the really cheap $2 or $3 film ones. Don't get those. Those will cause like terrible ghost touching. But yeah, 30, 40 bucks on a nice screen protector beats a $1,000+ screen replacement. I really like the matte ones as they help with glare coming in through the car, but I mean, if you have tint like what we have, you can totally get clear ones. You're not really gonna have to worry about glare. Matte also improves the touching experience. It's kind of hard to describe, but if you have an iPhone, touch the back, the frosted back, that's kind of what it would feel like touching your screen. Next up is gonna be probably my favorite accessory, and one that I've been begging Tesla to just include with the cars. S and X have them. Those are like automatics, they move on their own. We don't even need that. We could totally just use something like this, but as you can see here, I'm able to rotate the screen toward me. I can up, down. These are the new Gen 3s. The previous ones, they could go left, right, up, and down, but they would lower your screen a little bit. These don't lower the screen, so the screen stays at the exact same height. So if I have it just like this, it probably doesn't even look like it's on a rotating mount, but it is. And you can turn it towards you, up, down, all around. I love this thing, and once you get used to it, it's really hard to go back. I mean, if y'all watch my delivery day video, my girlfriend pointed out the screen immediately because it wasn't pointed toward her. You get really used to it, and it's really nice. I highly recommend one. As for install, it's very simple. Takes 30, maybe 45 minutes if you're going real slow. It's just a few screws, you pop out a few plugs, and then you put on the new mount, screw it back in, pop the plugs back in, and you're good to go. Next up is something Tesla actually used to include with these cars when they first came out, but took them out for cost-saving measures. Because it's an electric vehicle, you don't have a gear tunnel running through the back, you don't have that hump on the floor, but that also means you get a lot more storage space here in the center, right? So get these opened up. As you can see, I can like fit my whole arm down and through here. You have so much storage space, more down and through here, and you can probably tell, but yeah, we have little organizers here. These used to come with the car, and they are designed to have these in here. There's actually rails right here that Tesla have put in, and these are designed to sit right in. You can push it forward, bring it back. So stuff you maybe need in a pinch, like your wallet, keys, whatever, here on the top. Same thing here, armrest. I got one as well. We also have our cup holder insert here. It just makes messes that might get down in here much easier to clean. You actually can take this rubber out in here, but it's a huge pain in the ass, and it's probably not going to go back in how it originally was. So we just have one of these in here. Really nice. You can also get bigger ones that are going to provide more protection. And just like the cup holder, we also have pretty much the same exact thing for the door pockets here. It's just a little rubber insert that protects anything that might get down here. Really useful. We also have them in the rear if you have kids. You know, they put food, drinks, cups down in here, snacks. This carpet can only take so much before it starts to eventually look a little shot. But this right here just protects the bottom part in case liquids and stuff fall down in here. Just pull them out, wash them out. Oh, we forgot to mention the hidden, because it's so hidden. Up here underneath, we have this right here. Just a little quick thing. You can put some cash, cards, maybe an important document or something, and then pop it right back, pop it down. You wouldn't even know it's there. Next up are these trunk storage bins, and if you didn't know, you'd probably think these just came with the car because they look pretty much OEM. They perfectly match the carpet here in the back. Pretty self-explanatory. These create a isolated pocket in the car here to where you can put maybe something like cleaning supplies, if you got maybe dirty gloves or boots or stuff like that. If it does spill, it's not that big of a deal. You can just take it out, rinse it out, and you're good to go. They've also been designed to still fully work with the shelf pocket here that's in the trunk. Actually, during our delivery day video, I saw someone comment that they had owned their Model Y for 6 months and they didn't know about this pocket here. So as you can see, it's still raised enough to where you can just slide this in this way and then slide it back, and you can still put that down and you can still use your storage bins. Still fully compatible with the shelf pocket. I actually have some cleaner in here. Well, I guess this is another something I keep in the car. Interior detailing. This is from Guyon, which we'll actually talk about the ceramic coating on the seats here in a second. Next up is my MagSafe phone mount, and if the rotating screen mount was my favorite accessory, this is my second favorite. So the phone on here, really strong magnet. You can move it any way you want. You can also come down here, unscrew this part, and further customize it to whatever position you want it in. It's made of full aluminum, so it's really, really high quality. Like, a phone mount has no business being this high of a quality, but here, I'll shut the door here, get it in the exact position. I've tried every phone mount under the sun. I've tried the ones that go here on the dash, but they end up putting a lot of pressure on this piece. I've also tried ones that go on the screen, and you know, I'm just not a fan of them. This has been my favorite one. In my Legacy 3, I had a dash mount one, but the dash design was different on those, and I had it all the way over here to the left, so this just feels like the natural upgrade to go to. It's connected in here to the door handle. It's really easy to install. It takes less than 5 minutes. I'm not the biggest fan of wireless chargers in the car, as they typically charge the phone really slowly. They also overheat the phone. I'm talking to you, built-in wireless charging pads. So I'm typically the type that'll just plug in a cord and temporarily run it and plug it in, and then, you know, 20 minutes later I can unplug it. It's also much faster, as the USB-C ports here in the new Model Y are 65 watts. So this is my favorite one, but if you do need a wireless charger and you need your phone up higher, like maybe you're an Uber driver or something like that, the one that I would recommend is actually from MagBack. It like nicely wraps around the screen here, and it actually has a little curve in it, so it's not straight like this. It's a little bit more pointed towards you, which is really nice because then your Face ID still works. I'll have that one linked down below. If you're gonna get a charging one, that's the one I recommend. Next up is my radar detector. This is the Uniden R8. This is at the top of Uniden's lineup. Well, technically they have the R8W, but that just has Wi-Fi in it. It's the same thing. It's mounted on a blend mount and is hardwired into the car, so when I get into the car and I put my foot on the brake, it turns on, and then when I get out and walk away and the car locks, it turns off. These cars are very fast and very quick, and it is very easy to speed in them without knowing because they are silent. So radar detector for me was kind of a no-brainer. And when I tell you this thing picks up speed traps, if there is anyone running anything within a 2-mile radius of this car, I'm gonna know about it. The R8 has been great for me. I also have an R8W in the S. If you're looking for maybe a more budget-friendly option that's almost as good, they do have the R4 and the R4W. I'll have both these linked down below. They've never failed me. They've been great. Puddle lights are up next, and for the first time on any Tesla, this car actually includes the performance ones from the factory. However, Tesla, for some reason, decided to make them all white instead of blue and white like we've seen them previously have. So I went ahead and I swapped it out to the blue and white ones. I think it just looks a little bit better. Now, I mentioned ceramic coating earlier. The cleaner I showed was actually Guyon's like fake leather cleaner, perfect here for Tesla seats. And I also use their ceramic coating, also specifically made here for Tesla seats. And I've used them on all my Teslas with white seats. And it makes the seats really easy to clean. It protects the seats. I just got done showing my Model 3 Performance's white seats after 20,000 miles. They still look almost brand new. And I think a big part of that is because of the ceramic coating. Really easy to apply, highly recommend it. And don't think just because you got black seats that your seats don't get dirty. They do, they just doesn't show as well. So I'd recommend this for black seats as well. Now, as it is an EV, we do have some charging stuff in here. Here's our mobile connector. This comes with the car. It does come with a NEMA 1450 along with just a NEMA, what is this, a 515, so just a normal plug. But the big thing here is, as it's a performance, it does have the new V2L or vehicle to load, meaning that I can take this. It did also come with the J1772 adapter, and we do have a CCS adapter, but no one really uses that anymore, so that's a joke, by the way. I'm about to have someone be like, oh, well, technically a bunch of people still use that. So as you can see, we plug it in here, and now we can plug something into this. This can do a total of, I think it's a little bit above 2 kilowatts, though apparently there's been an issue with these, and they've been kicking at like 500 watts. So I've seen some few things about that. I assume it's a software related thing, but which will actually lead us into the next accessory, and that's gonna be my Starlink Mini here. I'll actually have my Starlink referral down below. I don't think I've ever shouted it out, but yeah, I think you'll get like a free month. My Mini here, here's all my wires and cords. Now, a little pro tip here is that you can buy a USB-C connector directly from Starlink, and you may think that your car would be able to power it because it's 65 watts, but that's actually not true. You need a 100 watt source. So don't be like me and buy the USB-C connector for your Starlink, because then you'll just have to turn around and go buy like one of the cigarette lighter USB-C connectors. But plug that in. And now if we hop in the car here, we'll see that it should be going. You see right there, we are power sharing. Yeah, pretty cool. And then of course the car can connect to it in case you're camping or whatever, so you're still fully connected. Like I said, I'll have my Starlink referral down below. I've had residential Starlink now for like the past 3 years, and it's been fantastic, completely life-changing for people that are in very rural areas. And as someone that grew up in a very rural area without good internet, I know the struggle. In this baggie here, which easily fits down into the trunk, we have sunshades. They are perfectly color matched for the gray headliner. And yes, I am currently working on getting all the parts for the black headliner retrofit. So you all will see a video on that, along with, I'll swap these out to black sunshades. And as this is a two-piece design, there's actually magnets in the center, which make them a lot easier to put up, and they stay up. Another thing I keep in the trunk is gonna be jack pads. These cars cannot be lifted up like a normal car due to the battery. So you use these on the jack points around the car. There are 4 here on the Model Y. And these allow you to safely lift the car without damaging the battery. And even if you never plan to do any of this type of work yourself, like rotating your wheels or swapping them or whatever, I still would recommend buying these and just keeping these in your sub trunk or your frunk, because in case you do have an emergency, and if roadside assistance doesn't have these, are you really gonna risk damaging your battery? So yeah, just keep these in your car. Alongside my jack pads, I also keep my tire inflator. This is from Fantech. This is the X9. I actually have a whole video about this. So fully pump up all 4 tires on a single charge. I haven't charged this thing in months, and it's still at full charge. You have a full range of PSI you can go through. It has a built-in USB-C cable, which can also be charged via the USB-C port that's in your car. It has another USB-C, which is an input along with an output. So yes, this tire inflator doubles as a battery bank, but you also have a flashlight. So in case you're on the side of the road, you have to pump up one of your tires or something, you can turn the flashlight on, say at night, so people know that you're there. I'll have this link down below on Amazon, along with a discount code that will save you a little bit of money. This bag right here is our dog hammock. 2 golden retrievers, definitely need one of these. It's really nice as it does have a cutout in the front, like a vent, so you can still see the dogs, but also air can pass through, because that's where the vent is. It also comes with door covers, as well. If your dogs are like mine, then they like to try to stand up on the armrest to look out the window. Now, I recently had one of my USB-C cables break on me. This is just a really easy angle. Someone getting in the car or whatever can push this down, it snaps off. And you know, these cables are 20, 30 bucks. So I ended up getting one of these, which is a USB, it's an angled USB-C adapter. So you plug it in here, and then you plug your cable in from the bottom. And this is like the full, what is it, 40 gigabits? Yeah, full 40 gigabits. So still gonna get all your speed and your charging, but now it's much harder for this to break. And if it was to push in and break, it would break the adapter, which these are only a few bucks compared to your cable, which like I said is $20 to $30. So yeah. All right, jumping back into the car here, where we'll take a look at the final accessory. And it's not even an accessory, it's a subscription. You can purchase full self-driving supervised for $100 a month. You can also purchase it straight out until February 14th for $8,000, which I'll actually have a video on that soon. Premium connectivity is $9.99 a month or $100 a year. This car should have came with lifetime premium connectivity, so I'm not really too sure why it's giving us an option here to subscribe for it. But nonetheless, we do currently have full self-driving. We're during our trial right now, but it typically would be $99 a month, or like I said, $8,000 until February 14th. And we also have premium connectivity. So like I mentioned, everything will be linked down below. And don't forget code VDAY26 for 15% off your entire order, plus free shipping over $150 from Test Stuff. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you are new around here and you want to see more test related stuff in your YouTube feed, then feel free to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.